Hardtalk here on Fire 107.7 FM. I'm your host, Angie, and today we are continuing in our quest to bring you the facts as they come and to bring them to you from credible sources. And also, we're going to continue to the issues that matter the most to the people of St. Lucia, whether you're a CIP. I have no idea what those CIP citizens are doing or what they're up to. We, as St. Lucians, we have a responsibility to ensure that is going the right way in our country, and we allow from to get to the meat of the matter. That we don't need to accept. Okay, so guys, today, as you may know, a very important side note I must say, today happens to be Thursday, June 18th, and today is a very important day. There are very important things happening today, and we are going to touch on each of those matters. But let us start the broadcast by, of course, welcoming our loyal listeners. So, those of you listening on the Fire FM 107 link, good afternoon to you. Welcome to the broadcast. Those of you on the social media platforms, good afternoon to you guys. Welcome and thank you for joining me. Several things of import happened today, but most significantly, today was the funeral of the late Joy St. Omar. You would recall that Miss St. Omar was murdered by her estranged husband. I think his name is Primus Toussaint. A few weeks ago. And this this case is especially tragic, St. Lucia, because of the circumstances of the circumstances surrounding Joy's death. It's been well publicized in and around St. Lucia that Joy had done everything to extricate herself from a obviously abusive relationship between herself and her estranged husband. She'd gone to the police, she'd had him arrested, she'd filed for a restraining order, done everything imaginable, everything at her disposal to secure her safety and that of her daughter. But unfortunately, it proved not to be enough because while the police had advocated that Mr. Toussaint be held without bail, an appealed decision in the High Court granted him bail, and Mr. Toussaint profited that opportunity to make good on several threats that he had made to his wife that she would, quote unquote, not see their daughter grow up. Tragically, this young lady lost her life after doing everything she was supposed to. And many individuals have voiced the opinion that the death penalty, this has triggered very strong, especially St. Lucian women who had hosted a protest in the city of Castries calling for justice for Joy. So Joy St. Omer is currently being laid to rest, and the calls for justice in this case will not stop. Let's just straight off the bat. Sorry, Mr. Tuse turned himself in to the police after he committed this atrocious act. And the police have to look for him. He turned himself in, and yeah, he did turn himself in. But here's the problem. When we say justice for Joy, we're not talking about holding Primus Tuse accountable. What we are talking about, the most important issue in this case, is judicial reform. Now, I don't know what form this reform will take. I don't know what exactly can be put in place. But obviously there is, because the police who had made it clear in the magistrate's court that this individual should not be let out on the streets, they were circumnavigated, or their ruling was overturned by the High Court judge. So obviously there is need for greater cooperation, greater cohesion between the officers of these two judicial institutions. I don't know how this thing works exactly. I'm not a lawyer, but I am a critical thinker, and this situation, this very unfortunate, very tragic situation, says to me that there needs to be greater cooperation, greater cohesion, and greater efficiency between in our judicial system. So something needs to be done. I'm pretty sure there are technocrats who are better placed than me to speak on this issue. Technocrats who understand the inner workings of the island's judicial system and who can make policy suggestions, because I don't think that the judiciary cannot on its own make policy decisions. It has to take the legislature to do so. And we've heard from the Prime Minister that there is a separation of powers, which is as it should be, between the legislature and the judiciary, and one does not interfere in the other. But I want to remind you, St. Lucia, that one takes direction from the other. It should be that the legislature provides direction to the the legislature provides a direction to the judiciary, and the judiciary acts in according to the powers vested in it by the legislature. So something has to be done, and the powers that be, you know yourselves, you know who you are, you know your job. Let us ensure that this tragic, very unfortunate situation never repeats itself. We cannot afford this anymore. We cannot afford another Joyce and Duma. We cannot afford another Alana Bernard. We cannot afford it. And you might not remember this, but Alana Bernard was a young lady who had she too gone to the police, made a report of an assault against her, in this case sexual assault, and was gunned down just before her case was supposed to be aired in the courts. Both tragic circumstances, both tragic situations where young ladies, St. Lucian young ladies, seeking to air their grievances in the judicial system, have paid with their lives. This is unconscionable, inexcusable, unacceptable, and should be addressed as soon as possible. Excuse me. We all know, St. Lucia, that there has been a lot of effort by the judiciary to prosecute cases that have stood dormant, I would call it, for quite some time. We have the advent of the forensics lab a couple of years ago, and we're told and we know that this institution has been instrumental in closing a lot of cold cases, a backlog of cases. One of which famously was the murder of Valinda Joseph, a homicide that took place over 20 years ago, but because of technology, DNA evidence, and the ability to process that evidence, we were able as the public to see a conclusion to this long-standing case. We now see the advent of the backlog court, and while we know very little to nothing about the operations of that court, and quite frankly, I would love to have a member of the judiciary, join us here on the show and give us just some insight into the inner workings of this court, what exactly it does. Because I was asked a question. Well, it wasn't a question, but it was more, let's say I was instructed. My instructions are that this backlog court, it is simply an avenue to provide status hearings to long-standing cases to ascertain whether the state should move forward or whether they are in deadlock and cannot be prosecuted. And I am told, or well, my instructions are that this, the judge assigned to that court, a Canadian native, that this judge is only here for 1 month. Now, a lot of us would question what can he be done in 1 month, but again, we do not know how this court operates. We don't know what it does, how it does, what it does. We have no idea as to the circumstances. All we know is that there is a backlog court. That's all we know. So I would love to get some more insight into the inner workings of this facility and how exactly does it benefit St. Lucians in their quest for justice. So this is something I will be seeking to get more clarification on, especially for you, my listeners, because we really need to understand our rights, what avenues are available to us when we need to pursue justice, and how exactly it works, what benefits we have, what our options are when we find ourselves in need of assistance. So I will endeavor to find some information on this backlog court that I can share. Especially, I will attempt to share things that the public, that should be kept confidential. Of course, you know, there are some things, especially with the judiciary, that you want to keep confidential so as to not influence or taint the pursuit of justice in some cases. And of course, we will not attempt to go in that direction. We don't want to interfere at all with the judicial system or the judicial process, but at least we want to know how this is working in our favor and what we can expect and what limitations. This is what I am more interested in. The limitations of this court and how far back will it go to ensure that St. Lucians receive the justice that they have so far been denied, because the saying goes that justice deferred is justice denied, and we want to know how is this court going to work in our favor. So of course, as your host, I will endeavor to find this information, source it, see if I can get someone from the judiciary to come in and just have a conversation and provide some insight as to that. And I will advertise it, guys, so that you guys don't miss this and you get a chance to find out for yourself how our tax dollars are working to ensure that we receive the justice that we deserve. Another thing of import that happened today, Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Alan Shastney, he gave what I think is his first solo press conference since he was sworn in as the leader of the opposition. He's had other press conferences, but together with other ministers or other um, together with other ministers and other candidates, but he's never had a press conference wholly and solely um, with it. Well, sorry, that's distracted there, trying to adjust the volume. I don't know what, guys, if you would permit me, let me just try some. There seems to be an issue with the volume. Sometimes when I interfere with this, I don't know what the problem with the volume is, guys, honestly, but I'm working on it. That's what I do. Okay, I trust that all of our volume issues have been solved. Guys, if you are on the live or even on the link, let me know via the Facebook platform. Okay, somebody on WhatsApp is saying it's perfect now. What about you guys on Facebook? Is the volume fixed? Let me know. Sometimes I have to give it a little female touch. All right. So, as we continue, so the leader of the opposition, as I was saying earlier, he has given a press conference and has I don't know, guys, I'm gonna have to take a quick commercial break. Let me see what is going on with this volume situation here. Apparently there is some situation with the volume. I'm going to take a quick commercial break and see if I can adjust this in some way. We will be right back.
Sunshine and thousand flowers, and licks those stains off of colored clothes with in deodorant and antibacterial. So licks tiredness and bacteria out and refresh your tired body. Your product's giving you licks? Then choose Lint today Distribution Inc. Available at all leading supermarkets.
Beat the summer heat with a relaxing glide down. Leave your cares behind as you immerse yourself in the tranquility of nature. Kids home from school, no problem. Take them home on an unforgettable adventure. St. Lucia Bando Rafting introduces its Summer River Special. Start with a welcome cocktail to set the mood. Then enjoy a 90-minute guided tour and a cooler full of drinks for your refreshment. Tours start from 9:30 a.m. and end every 2 hours with the last tour at 3:30 p.m. Adults pay 100 EC per person. Kids ages 5 to 11 years old, 50 EC. We are located call 20 Bamboo Rafting on Facebook and Instagram. St. Lucia Bamboo Rafting. Let us take you from stressed to relaxed in 19 minutes flat.
All right, guys, we're back here on Fire FM, and this is Hard Talk. Hopefully, all our issues with the volume have been sorted out. So I assume that they are sorted out. All right, guys, so let's continue. So the leader of the opposition, Alan Shastney, he gave a press conference today, and he opened himself up to the media, and this press conference followed a very informative appearance on Newsmaker Live last evening, where the leader of the opposition gave some insight as to a lot of the issues that he has concerns about. He answered some questions from persons who called into the show. But in true Alan Shastney fashion, he attempted to lay out the issues that are affecting St. Lucia in a way that everyone can understand. And he did the same thing today at the press conference, with one key difference. You see, today, Alan Shastney challenged the people of St. Lucia to stand up. He challenged the people of St. Lucia to demand accountability from our leaders on a myriad of subjects. And you know them, the usual suspects: rising cost of living, the high cost of fuel and cooking gas. He rubbished claims that the present administration is the one who cares about the people and introduced subsidies on fuel. Now, of course, the present administration has never claimed to have piloted or spearheaded subsidies on fuel, but they have used it in a way that makes it seem as if this is something that they are doing especially or expressly to cushion the blow to the people of St. Lucia. The leader of the opposition, of course, challenged this. Then there was GPH, tourism. And of course, this new deal with Arsenal. Now, St. Lucia, we are yet to know or to be informed of what exactly this association with Arsenal will bring to our shores. But if we are to guess, as to what Arsenal is getting, because once again, just like GPH, just like the CIP, just like so many other foreign investments or deals that the present administration has entered into, the people of St. Lucia, the citizenry, the taxpayers, we are all in the dark. We are left to speculate as to what this deal, just like the NH deal, just like the GPH deal, just like the CIP, we are left to speculate on the finer details, the fine print, the pros and cons of this new Arsenal partnership. According to the leader of the opposition, if we are to judge by Arsenal's association or recently scrapped association with Rwanda, then St. Lucian taxpayers could be potentially paying a sum like 10 million British pounds. Now, I don't know if you know the currency conversion rate between the EC dollar and the British pound, but it is currently at 3.5. So guys, you know that 10 million British pounds equates to 35 million EC dollars. That's a lot of millions, guys. That's a lot of millions. Can we afford 10 million British pounds? I don't think so. I cannot imagine St. Lucia having 10 million British pounds at our disposal and still borrowing in excess of $1.6 billion since this administration has come into office. I mean, if we have the 10 million British pounds, could we have borrowed less? If we have 10 million British pounds at our disposal, why aren't the rivers being desilted in the midst of this Atlantic hurricane season? A hurricane season which, by the way, guys, is projected to be very active. I can't imagine we having 10 million British pounds at our disposal and not engaging in some of the works that I see that need to be done in and around our communities. You see the need for road rehabilitation in so many areas. You see the need for potholing. You see the need for cleaning by the roadside. You see the need for St. Jude Hospital, which by the way, $50 million. That is what the Prime Minister says is needed to complete the what's the word he used? The word escapes me right now, but to complete the hospital and open it for the people of the South to have proper health care because he said to us, I'm using the Prime Minister's words, I've never seen the facility, I've never been invited inside. The last time we went, I went down to Viewfort, myself and a number of other individuals who wanted to have a look at the facility. We were not allowed anywhere near it. And then in December, just before the election, the Prime Minister had an opening ceremony in which he said that the new St. Jude, the newly refurbished St. Jude Hospital, was a modern facility. That is how Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre described it. He said it was a modern facility with all the modern amenities. It was an upgraded facility. It was better than the box. Well, he implied it was better than the box. He said it was the best, the absolute greatest. And that's his description, guys. Again, I will remind you, I am simply repeating what the Prime Minister said because I personally have not set foot at the facility. But this is what the Prime Minister said. This is how he described it. He said it's a modern facility. It's an upgraded facility. He said it was the best. It was better than the box. So on and so forth. Then he said we needed $50 million to commission it. Now that escapes me. Because how is it that you can have a ribbon cutting, an opening ceremony, a handing over ceremony? Well, what was it? I wasn't in attendance, guys. Help me out here. But the facility remains unusable. It's not opened. And I can't imagine us having 10 million British pounds at our disposal and not using it or putting it towards the commissioning of St. Jude Hospital. I can't imagine we have 10 million British pounds at our disposal, but the shelter for battered women is closed and has been closed for years. And it is my understanding and my instructions are that the government could be looking into some sort of private deal or PPP to operate this much needed facility. I just cannot understand it. I can't imagine that, guys. If what I'm saying is not plausible, it's not feasible, please let me know. But I cannot imagine St. Lucia having 10 million British pounds at our disposal because for some reason, I just don't think that Arsenal Football Club gives credit. You know, I don't think they make deals on credit. I think if you get into this kind of association or partnership or whatever, that you would need to have cash on hand. In fact, I don't even think that they take kind. They accept being paid in kind because they tell you cash or kind. I don't think they accept being paid in kind. I think they want their money and they want it up front. Because, I mean, this is Arsenal, guys. This is a big deal. Big deal. And I just can't imagine St. Lucia having 10 million British pounds, at their disposal, and our schools, or to borrow the phrase of the former education minister, the school plants around the island, they haven't received an upgrade in God knows how long. I mean, we have schools with broken windows. We have schools that need repairs to classrooms. We have schools that need repairs to the bathrooms. We have schools that are in very near dilapidated condition. I can't imagine. I can't imagine that we can have 10 million British pounds at our disposal and yet still we cannot have a proper airport. We're in the rainy season, guys. HIA airport leaks. You know that, right? It leaks. So 10 million British pounds cannot at least fix the roof. I mean, I'm thinking, and look at so many things I am coming up with that need upgrades off the top of my head. Guys, if we have 10 million British pounds at our disposal, why is it that the refurbishing of the former George Charles Secondary School into a proper juvenile detention facility, why hasn't that started? I mean, why hasn't it started? And it begs the question, where do our priorities lie? Just think about it, guys. Just brainstorm with me. If we have 10 million British pounds at our disposal, and we are using that figure because that is what Arsenal was paid by Rwanda in their former deal, a deal that we, St. Lucia, has just gotten into. That's the going rate for a partnership between a country and Arsenal. 10 million British pounds. Right? And again, I tell you, I don't think, I'm assuming that Arsenal, they don't take credit. I'm assuming that's not your little tea boutique in the community where you can go and say, Miss Janice, give me a packet of cricks and a packet of and a tin of tuna fish and 2 packets of turbo, and I will pay you when I get paid on Friday. I don't think Arsenal operates that like that. I'm assuming that is not how they operate. So if we have 10 million British pounds at our disposal, and we have a call on the line, why is it that we have so many things that need to be addressed and they're not being addressed? Good afternoon to you, caller. You are on the air.
Good afternoon, Angie. How you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
I hope I didn't preempt you or interrupt your
My preamble?
Your preamble. I'm sorry for that if I did.
Yeah, well, go ahead. You're already on the line.
But I was anxious and I was eager to chime in on your conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You see, like my good friend Liquid would say, you get the government you deserve, Angie. You believe that? You subscribe to that?
I am seeing that. But not me. Eh? Personally, I don't deserve to be, I do not deserve to be ruled by the St. Lucia Labour Party. I don't deserve that at all.
Me too. And I think the something thousand of us who voted, who were wise enough, who did not fall for the rhetoric and the gimmick, and who were wise enough to vote for United Lucas Party, we do not deserve that. But in anything else, we live in that jurisdiction called St. Lucia, 238 square miles, and we sadly we have to take it in the neck. Angie, I did some research, right?
Mm-hmm.
On this whole Arsenal thing.
Mm-hmm.
And my little investigation, and I'm not no big researcher.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can go online. The information is there for
Mm-hmm.
everybody to see. And I'm seeing here, I stumbled upon the last arrangement or agreement that Arsenal FC, the Arsenal Football Club, has had with Rwanda.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm seeing here, it says they had an 8-year deal
Mm-hmm.
which cost the Rwandan government £8 million, which equates to $102 million.
Are you
That
saying
was the
8 million or 80 million?
80 million, my correction.
Yeah.
The last agreement that Arsenal FC Football Club had with the Rwandan government, it cost them £80 million,
Right. So
which
that
is equivalent
translates
to,
to 10 million per year. Which is what I
that is
forgot to say.
correct.
Please forgive me. I forgot to specify that it's 10 million British pounds per year.
Yeah, which was an 8-year deal.
Right.
And that equates to, or is equivalent to $102 million.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if what that is information is correct,
Wait, that
we can speculate.
102 million, what kind of dollars? Rwandan
I
dollars?
am not too, no, I am not too sure. I'm assuming it's $100 because they said £80 million.
Mm-hmm.
So it cost them 102 million, and I'm assuming it's $100, the currency.
Right. Okay,
So,
continue.
based on that now,
Mm-hmm.
the government of the Labour Party, they refuse to give us information, and in the absence of information,
Speculation is
um,
rife.
that is correct. So if that is the case, then the amount that is bandied about, the 10 million, we don't know if it's EC, we don't know if it's pounds, could be correct,
Caller, let me tell you something. We're speculating. I need to be precise with how I word things. We're speculating on the cost of this Rwandan deal, and we're using the former deal with. Sorry, let me rephrase. We're speculating on the cost of this Arsenal deal, and we're using as our benchmark the former deal that was struck with Rwanda. Now, if Arsenal was charging Rwanda, the Rwandan government and people, 10 million British pounds back then, I don't think they will charge St. Lucia any less. They might charge us more. Because you see,
yeah, I don't think so.
it depends on what we want, what they bring to the table. And this is an established football club. They're international.
I think the stakes are high for Arsenal. Arsenal has just won the Premier League.
Okay. So they're the cream of the crop right now.
They are the cream of the crop, and they also were the runners-up at the Champions League. So you could imagine the value,
Okay.
the sporting value has increased.
Okay. So, caller, I don't think that they will charge us any less than 10 million pounds, but I'm going to err on the side of caution and say they might be charging us more. You never know.
Angie,
You never know.
And you see, we are placed in that, we are put in that position, Angie, today because our government, the government that we elected, and I say we as a collective, as a people, as St. Lucians, that we elected, refuses to give us information. And like you said, in the absence of information, speculation is rife.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can go by on the deal that they had with the Rwandan government, 80 million pounds, which is 10 million a year, like you rightly said, we can speculate that it's even more. Now, if it's more, say it's more than 10 million pounds a year, the agreement is 10 million pounds, that's a lot of money, Angie, to invest. That is a lot of money. Bearing in mind, in context, putting into context the situation on ground in St. Lucia, when you just said something, the house for battered women has been
The
closed
shelter.
for over what, 3 years? The shelter.
Yeah. And my instructions are that the government might be seeking a private partner to manage the facility. Yes.
Wow.
My instructions are.
And with all that's happening, with all that money that they'll be paying to Arsenal, say they market through the tourism authority, they're going to market St. Lucia and Arsenal going to market St. Lucia as a destination. The leader of the opposition at his press conference said, if we have to speculate on the amount of money they will be giving to Arsenal, that's more than the budget to market the country as a tourism destination.
Mm-hmm. But then again, caller, take into consideration that we still don't know what the budget for jazz has been for the past 5 years. We got an estimated budget when the festival first re-emerged, and afterwards we have heard absolutely nothing about the budget for jazz, about the cost versus expenditure, the profit margin, ticket sales, nothing. Nothing.
Angie,
We have asked the question every year after jazz. The media goes and asks, how much did we benefit from jazz? How much did we spend? How much did we make? And they're always told by the minister, you cannot calculate that. You cannot compile that. There's always an excuse. We also caller, and bear this in mind, we still have no idea. Absolutely no idea. We are groping in the dark when it comes to Carnival. We don't know how much we're spending on Carnival. We don't know what the budget is. We don't know what the returns are.
Angie, are you surprised?
No, not at all.
Because it's a pattern of behavior when it comes to the Social Labour Party, when it comes to accountability and transparency. Let me ask you a question, Angie.
Mm-hmm.
The National Lotteries Authority took a loan of 100 and something million.
Mm-hmm.
They say they were refurbishing the Darren Sammy cricket ground. Do you know who was the contractor?
Well, if memory serves, the minister who was supposed to report on that said to the public that he does not remember the contractor's name. He knows the name of the business, but he cannot remember the name of the contractor.
And can you believe that? That is like pissing in our eyes and calling it rain. Do you believe that?
I don't know, caller. I don't know. I don't know the gentleman's mental prowess or
the gentleman
capacity for recall.
Because he's in a seat of office. He's a government minister, and you would expect him to be in good mental shape.
Well, I don't know. Some people, I know plenty of people who would question, or who probably question, the Prime Minister's mental prowess on a daily basis. Several of them are listening to the show right now.
While that was going on, why is the question to ask of the minister to account as to who was the contractor who they say they got at the NLE, the National Lotteries Authority, guaranteed a loan of 100 and how much million to refurbish the Darren Sammy cricket ground. When they asked him, he refused, like you said, he did not know, he doesn't even remember the name.
He did not recall.
He cannot recall, he cannot remember, which is hogwash. But there were a lot of speculation, and I will not repeat it on your show. To protect Fire FM and to protect Hardtalk, I will not repeat the rumor. But there was a certain thing on the ground as to that who was the contractor. I will not go there. I will ask you another question. Custody Suites was constructed. Do you know who was the contractor?
I believe the Prime Minister said it was IBC or IBM. He gave a name, he gave the name of a business, something construction. I cannot for the life of me recall right now. I think it was either IBS or IBC. I don't know.
Do you believe the Prime Minister, Angie, in all honesty? Do you believe the Prime Minister?
Again, caller. I saw no documentation, but this is St. Lucia, caller. When the people, I've been to press conferences and see people wave papers and I'm sitting in the front row and I cannot make out any wording on that paper, and that was before I needed glasses. So, call.
Angie, I'm putting you in a tight spot because
Yes,
I'm sorry.
yeah, because
You're
you
not the prime minister. You're not in a seat of government. You're a
right.
journalist, a good one at it.
Thank you.
And I'm just asking those questions so that the public can understand the pattern of behavior of this current SLP administration.
But caller, we still
Next
don't
question.
know. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll come in there, you know. The next question to you, and I'm not putting you in the hot seat, Angie. I'm just posing the relevant question that should have been directed or should be directed to our government officials because they are accountable to us.
That's right.
Have you seen or do you know the contents of the GPH agreement? Have you seen the GPH agreement? Have anybody in the country seen the GPH agreement?
Not that I am aware. Um, from what we're being told, there was a GPH agreement. There were secret deals. We have no idea.
So, is it ethical, Angie,
Mm-hmm.
that we live in a democratic country called St. Lucia, 238 square miles? We've elected a government that's supposed to be working for us. We are paying them. We are their bosses.
Mm-hmm.
And a government is signing an agreement with a foreign entity, a foreign company. Sign an agreement, a lease, in one for 30 years and with an option to extend for 10 years, so 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we do not know up to this day what is in that agreement, and we accept that.
Well, that's what
And we have
happened.
to speculate.
That's what happened, caller. That is what
And when the
happened.
leader of the opposition in parliament brought a document where our ports were leased for $1, the Minister of Investment, Ernest Ile, tried to make it seem like the leader of the opposition was misleading the parliament or misleading the people. And when the lead and he challenged the leader of the opposition, you remember that, to produce the
Mm-hmm.
document.
And the
And when the
document
leader of
was
the opposition
produced.
produced the deed of sale, he was correct.
Yeah.
So our ports were leased for $1, St. Lucia. Your government, my government. So I'm asking you all these, asking those three questions, Angie, to show you again, it's a pattern of behavior. I saw a clip, and I'm going to send it to you, Angie.
Mm-hmm.
Where an official in Barbados, a journalist, a reporter asked him a pertinent question as to there was some project, and the reporter asked him how much money will cost the country for this project.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave an arrogant answer, like, in other words, to tell a reporter, I don't want to answer that question, you go do your research, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he brushed aside the
Mm-hmm.
reporter. Do you know he had to come back and make a public apology to the Barbadian people?
Wow.
I'm going to send you that clip in a while. That is what the Bajan people, they don't take anything for granted. They don't take nonsense from politicians, especially when it comes to their tax dollars, their tax money. This is the kind of attitude that we need to display or adopt in St. Lucia.
Mm-hmm.
It cannot be right. A government will enter, and I'm not saying the Arsenal deal with the government is a bad thing. I'm not saying that. We're not saying that.
Mm-hmm.
All we want is accountability. How much did it cost the people of St. Lucia? Because let us remind our listeners and viewers, it's our money, the
Yeah.
taxpayer money that is paying this thing. How much money will be given to Arsenal to market our country? That's all we want to know. But you see, the government is cagey, they're not answering the questions, and you see the hacks now, they already start a defense. Oh, Flabo doesn't want anything good for the country, and this can bring benefits for sports in the country, and the Flabos are anti-progress, and they're enemies of the state, and anything good they don't want to support. They already start a defense, you know.
But caller, hold on. Do they themselves, the ones saying that, do they know what's in the deal? Do they know the final points?
But they don't care, Angie. They don't care because at the end of the day, for them, they benefit personally from the government, the Labour Party. And number two, all they see is red. They have jaundice.
Actually, don't say jaundice. That's a bad thing because when you have jaundice, your eyes are yellow. Just
or red eye.
Yeah.
That's what I intended to say. Red eye. All they have is red eye, and they don't see anything. Let me tell you, we have serious issues with water.
Mm-hmm.
I heard one of the NOC representatives was on a show this morning, Mary Polius,
Mm-hmm.
justifying why the Wasco has once an increase or they increase the rates of water.
Mm-hmm.
Absurd, absurd. About Wasco needs has poor infrastructure, and Wasco is this and Wasco is that, and Wasco, if they don't get that increase, will not be financially viable. Rubbish, nonsense. Wasco, the problem with Wasco, and I'm sorry to say, Angie, I do not want to sound like a stuck recorder, but I have to say it anyway. Wasco's problem is management. It's too top heavy.
Yeah.
A lot of people who support the party, they, just like in Trinidad, the same status quo obtains. In
Yeah.
Trinidad, there's the URP and the CPEP, and all party hacks, both governments, both the UNC and the PNM, what they do at WASCO, WASA in Trinidad, WASA, just dump them there.
Yeah.
Political appointments. The same obtains for WASCO in St. Lucia. So all those political appointees, you campaign for the party, they put you there.
Hmm.
And what do we have to show for it? Nothing.
Yeah.
The government of the St. Lucia Labour Party keeps giving WASA money, WASCO money every, I don't know, annually or whatever it is, $1 million.
Well, actually, the prime minister said monthly.
Monthly. And I was kind enough and I was nice enough and generous enough to say annually. So
Mm-hmm.
you corrected me. Thanks for the correction. Monthly. $1 million monthly. And Mary Polius is telling me today that's not enough. They need more money. Need more money. Mind you, people in St. Lucia right now in the rural communities and all over St. Lucia do not have a reliable supply of water. But you justify an increase? Absurd. Madness.
Thank you for that, caller. Thank you for that wonderful contribution.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Bye bye. Well, guys, let me tell you, it is what it is. But I want to take you back to the the press conference with the leader of the opposition, where he speaks about several situations. But before I do so, the one we want to touch on today, right now, at this moment, is the CIP. More specifically, our recent loss of our visa-free access to Ireland. Now, if you would recall, earlier this week, at Monday's pre-cabinet press briefing, that question was posed to the island's prime minister, where he, I don't want to say beat around the bush, but the island's prime minister made very specific mention to the fact that this was through no fault of ours, that Ireland had their own domestic problems, and that was the reason why we did not retain the use of our visa to Ireland. Before I bring you the leader of the opposition's comments on the matter, because the same questions were posed to the leader of the opposition, I want to remind you of the Prime Minister's remarks or explanation in that regard. So I'm taking you now back to the pre-cabinet press briefing so you can remind yourself of why the Prime Minister believes we've lost visa-free access to Ireland. Take a listen.
So we have one issue. So even so, my water harvesting, my rainwater harvesting will be under a bit of pressure because rain isn't falling. But if you had harvested water at the time when I told you so, you still had some. And even put the things in place to harvest rainwater, the little bit that falls, we would have saved it. So I still put the plea out. And I'm going to say it over and over again. I encourage people, even in this drought season, to try to get their rainwater harvesting in place, even in the drought. Because the little rain that falls, it will not go in the drains. We collect it. That's the first thing. So our resources, our natural sources of water are drying up because no rain is falling. As predicted, I don't know whether you came to the NEMAC meeting last week Thursday, the meteorologists, not me, the meteorologists are predicting we're going to have a terrible dry season. Number one. Number two, in terms of Vasco's management, I need you to, and in all the discussions happening about Wasco now, you understand? Conveniently, no one is putting the blame where it ought to be. No one is doing that. What we're doing in Wasco now, declaring Wasco with a public-private partnership, started from the year 2008. It started from the year, listen to me carefully, where Wasco's issues were there for a long time. Between 2006 and 2011, discussions have been held about Wasco from that time. You agree that? Good. Before 2006, we've taken the steps to make Wasco a semi-private sector body. Right? That meant we'd have an arrangement between the private sector and the public sector to make Wasco viable. All the discussions, the documents are still available. All these plans were squashed and a different direction was taken. Squashed. And a different direction was taken. 2011 to 20.
I apologize for the mix-up. That is not the clip that should have been played. The Prime Minister's comments come later on. But I guess it's not a waste because we just had a conversation about Wasco. So I guess it is relevant to let the Prime Minister answer your questions about Wasco. And just to be fair, I will bring you back and allow the leader of the opposition to talk about Wasco. While we're on the subject, because that was one of the things that we were going to talk about. So let's just finish listening to the Prime Minister talking about Wasco, and then I will bring you the leader of the opposition's take on the same subject. So even if we have the wrong clip, this clip was supposed to be played later in the broadcast, we're still going to take advantage of it. It's not a total waste. The caller was talking about Wasco anyway. So let's hear what the Prime Minister has to say about this PPP arrangement with Wasco.
B16. Right? During that time, you must know that there was a change of government. Right? Government changed in 2006, government changed again in 2011. Between 2011 and 2016, there was a change of government. 2011, Wasco was again on the table, and then we were on the verge of causing the necessary change that had to be done in Wasco. These plans were squashed. And here we are. The same position we are now is worse now than it was at the time. The dam hasn't been desilted. A few $1 billion later, the pipes still have the the pipes are still eroded. The pipes still need to be replaced. We still have the water loss, and Vasco structure is the same. We have taken the position that we are going to reimagine Vasco in this period. And right now, as we speak, we are working to have a PPP arrangement for Vasco, where we encourage investment and change the entire corporate structure at Wasco to make it more modern, to make it more flexible, and allow it the resources that they need to improve the water situation in St. Lucia. And that is the pledge of my government. We're going to take the bold steps, we're going to take the bold measures to make Wasco a more effective utility company. You're going to ask me about the increase in water rates. That's coming next. You'll ask me a question. I tell you, increasing water rates alone is not the answer to Wasco's issues. Not the answer to the issues. Not the answer to Wasco's issues. It is true that Wasco is definitely distributing water at a low cost of production. This is not economically viable. My government, over the last week, as we speak, we subsidize Wasco $1.2 million every month. We've done that for a year. My government, we've paid our bills in advance for Wasco. We've put more money into Wasco than any other government. The support we've given to Wasco. Because we understand the need for Wasco to be able to at least give a reliable water supply to the people of St. Lucia. But Wasco's problems will not end with an increase in water rates.
So this was leader of the country, Honorable Philip J. Pierre, Prime Minister of St. Lucia, giving his take on the Wasco situation and attempting to justify the PPP arrangement and the money being placed into Wasco and so on and so forth. Now, at the press briefing today, leader of the opposition, Alan Shastney, was asked, after explaining that 60% of the water gathered by Wasco or produced by Wasco is lost in leaking pipes, after explaining that his government had attempted to the same PPP arrangement that the Prime Minister was speaking about that was squashed. The leader of the opposition explains why it was squashed and attempted to explain, well, not attempted, he succeeded in explaining what his administration's consensus on Wasco was and how they went about doing it. And he does give some insight as to what went wrong. And here he is comparing Lusilec, the management of Lusilec, with Wasco. So he's being asked a question by a reporter. If Lusilec is a utility company just like Wasco, but they're being run so efficiently, wouldn't the St. Lucian public benefit from an association between the two so that the experienced and more successful management team of Lusilec could attempt to lend their expertise to Wasco? Here is the leader of the opposition's explanation of that, or answer to that question.
But in terms of the management operations. Could there be some linkages you select, passing on some hints to Wasco? It's in the national interest,
Well, remember,
It's more manageable if we have the proper process and we have the proper procedures in place. And the government just paid every year, just paying millions of dollars to Wasco. Just you said 60% of wastage. Why would you pay money to people to waste it away? Why not put in strategies in place to make it better?
That's a fair question. Well, first of all, there's a big difference between Wasco and Looselec. Looselec is a private company. Wasco is an incorporation, but wholly owned by the government. So all the board directors are appointed by the government. Oh. In the case of Looselec, the directors are appointed by the shareholders. And if you remember, I'm sure you remember, Mr. Frederick made a big issue of it, where he said I sold shares. We have NIC and we have the Castries Council that have shares. In order to have a board director, you have to have 20%. And the Castries, what do you call them, the City Council was just short of that. So what we did is we got NIC to sell some of its shares to the City Council, or it was vice versa, I can't remember right now, but one of the two, in order for the other entity to be able to get to 20%, to add one more board member onto Looselec. Because Looselec itself has to change. Looselec, I'm sorry to say this to the people of Looselec, they're extorting the people of this country. And I kept on saying, even when I was Prime Minister, is it that Looselec is in the business to make money at the expense of the people of St. Lucia? Or Looselec is supposed to be operating to help the country grow? And it's two different things. I would rather see Looselec focus on helping the country grow, and that by selling more electricity they can make more money, and by selling more electricity they can reduce their cost. Versus detaching themselves from the development of the country. Water distribution and electricity distribution, it might as well be two different businesses. And there may be some governance issues in sharing that we can get from the two of them. But you have to ask yourself the question, sir, how was it that between 2016 and 2021, everything was good at Wasco? Paying its bills, doing development, expanding capacity, morale was high. You never heard about water shortages. You didn't hear about money being short. And all of a sudden now you change the management and we are where we are. And in everything that I've been speaking about here, what is required is pressure, accountability. And we have fallen for the nonsensical excuses that Wasco wants to give and the political propaganda behind it. And anytime that you're critical of these things, that you are an enemy of the state. Water is life.
One question, Mr. Leader of the Opposition. WASCO is a statutory body, right?
No, it's not.
It's not? Okay.
It was incorporated.
Okay. My question is, and I've heard another reporter echo that, is WASCO required to provide audits to the government
Yes.
or table audits in Parliament?
Yes.
Have they been tabling these audits, and how often should they be tabled?
It's annual. I've not looked at it recently as to what their status is. I will definitely take a look at it, but they are required by their own statute to do so. I want to put all of us on notice, the media and the general public. We have two big issues coming out. You've heard that they want to privatize Wasco. When we came into government in 2007 under Sir John, it was very close to being completed. The deal that was being discussed is that we would sell Wasco for $1, all of the assets. Government was going to absorb all of the debt of Wasco, and we were going to give Wasco the opportunity to increase the price of water. That's the deal. And we asked, Sir John said, if we're going to do that for a foreigner, why don't we do it for ourselves? Okay. I'm saying that to you because the privatization of Wasco, according to the Prime Minister, is back on the table. I'm warning all of us, St. Lucians, The privatization of HIA is coming.
Now, earlier in the broadcast, the leader of the opposition had previously given a much more detailed explanation as to what was really happening with Wasco. And he said a number of things, spoke about the pipes, the infrastructural upgrades that were planned during you would recall, the rehabilitation of the Grosley Highway. And he had given much more insight into what was really wrong with Wasco. But of course, Philip J. Pierre, it's more politicking when you ask the Prime Minister a question. It just cannot be right that you would ask the leader of a country a question and he cannot answer in ways that would provide just more clarity to the people of St. Lucia. So you have to go to the leader of the opposition to get the right stuff. But you still need to hear what the Prime Minister has to say. And a lot of people always object whenever I try to get some information from the Prime Minister. But guys, he is a credible source. He's the most credible source, the most readied source. So here is the Prime Minister fielding a question about Ireland and immigration and giving his take on why it is St. Lucia is no longer enjoying visa-free privileges to Ireland. Here's the Prime Minister.
Last year, the government announced that medical professionals employed on internal...
Sorry, that's not... Okay. I think I lost... I lost the clip, guys. I can't believe I lost the clip. I need to go back. I lost the clip. This is amazing. This is amazing. Guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and I am going back in search of the clip. I can't believe I'm laughing at myself right now. We're going to take a quick commercial break while I find that clip of the Prime Minister telling us why it is that he needed to we lost our visa-free privileges to Ireland and why it just doesn't matter. In his words, not mine. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Is your solar water heater tank leaking, worn out, or no longer performing efficiently? Upgrade your unit without the cost of a completely new system. Tropical Solar now offers tank upgrades and replacements for existing solar water heating units, including systems from other brands. Keep your existing heating panel and replace the tank with a reliable Tropical Solar tank designed for lasting performance and efficiency. Need a panel replacement too? Tropical Solar can help with that as well. Call Tropical Solar today for more information. In Castries, 453-1868. In Grosvenor, 450-8201. And in Beaufort, 454-6344. Tropical Solar, giving new life to your existing...
Good afternoon to you, caller. You are on the air.
Hey, good afternoon, Angie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Angie, I'm not doing too good today, Angie. You know why?
What's wrong? Talk to me.
When I look at the GPH work that we did at our ports for 40 years, I say to myself, but is that a solution? Is this solutions the best solution minds making those terrible decisions and bad deals?
I
You know, I have to use a
I don't think you should characterize them right off the bat as the best solution minds. It should be the best solution minds, but is this what we're getting? I have to ask.
I have to use Donald Trump terms of language, you know. That is a very, very bad deal, Angie. You know that Iran deal with Obama and those different things, and how Trump call it a bad deal every time.
Yeah.
This one will go down in history as the worst that can ever be taking place.
Oh.
Because Angie, let me tell you something.
Caller, don't let the SLP hacks hear you, because you will be labeled. You will be labeled.
I have to try to get Tim official tomorrow. Every time I try to call Tim, I'm not getting him, but I'll try to call him and tell him how bad of a deal that is, Angie. And you know, maybe a primary school child would have think of and draw a better plan than that. And you know what I was thinking those guys would have done, Angie?
Tell me.
You see from the stuff where the old arcade was, going down to the waterfront, you know that waterfront
Caller, you're cutting out. You're cutting out. I'm not hearing you. Caller, hello. Okay. Sorry, caller, we couldn't hear you. Could you call back? You were breaking up really, really badly. We invite you to call back. There you are. Hello. You were cutting out really badly. I didn't hear anything. I couldn't hear anything you were saying. So could you? You're gonna have to start your contribution over. Sorry. And no, there's still. Oh, hold on. No, I can't hear you. Speak again.
I hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, continue. I can hear you.
So, Angie, what I'm trying to say is, I thought there would be restaurants on the water, like you know, you see how the Dubai did the island. I was thinking on the curve there, those guys would have maybe cover the walkway, so when people are walking from the walkway to go to a Serenity Park or something, and it's raining, you wouldn't get wet. And at the same time, they would have some little arts and craft, different things you can buy on that walkway. Or if you want, you can go to a restaurant, which is, you know, where they put the bus stops on alongside the government buildings there. You see the bus stop GPH building?
Yes, I saw them. And you know what, caller, let me give you a little laugh. So I was at the bank at the waterfront, and the security guard was standing in the doorway and saying, "Oh, beautiful, beautiful." And I was looking around to see what the gentleman was referring to, and it turns out he was referring to those bus stops. Oh, that's so nice, beautiful, beautiful. And I'm looking at it and I'm wondering, my goodness.
But And Angie, I try to tell the guys, Angie, that is not a bus stop, so they don't need bus shelters there. The
Me
bus stops are
too.
in Cascade.
Me too. Because I was trying to figure it out, Colin. I was trying to figure out where the bus is going to stop to pick up the people.
You know, they have to, and then to add insult to injury, then they go ahead and paint the floor up on the ground where the
Yes. Yes.
It looks like those playgrounds, when you make
Yeah,
a playground for a child.
yes. I thought I was the only one. But the colors are nice too. Let's be honest. That aquamarine and turquoise, it's nice. It's pretty.
And if it was St. Lucian's who were painting that, Angie, then Angie, Angie, take for example, okay, where the old arcade was, just lower down where old fire station was.
Yes.
And you're looking at that, when I'm passing there, you know what that reminds me of in Denry, the village, in the fishing village.
But Colin, there are bus stops there too, where you listen, Colin, you complaining about the bus stops on the waterfront. But that's not all the bus stops you are getting. You are getting bus stops where the old fire station was. And Colin, I realize that you'll be getting bus stops in Vernon too. Now, I'm not sure we'll have to take a bus from Castries to go to Vernon to catch the bus, but maybe it's a train stop. I don't know. I don't know how they're doing it. I don't know.
Angie, let me tell you, you see where the old fire station was? They're building some huts there. And those huts, it reminds me of, you see when you go down in Denry where they have the fishing, where the fishing port is?
Yes.
Okay, so
on the Daito. That's how you call it, the Daito. That's what it's called, the Daito.
Yes, so the Daito. So when you go in Denver and you're looking on your left inside of the Daito, that's when you see those little huts.
Yeah.
And eventually that's when you see. You understand? So for me, Angie, if I'm looking at this is any investor, people are laughing at St. Lucia, The real smart people are really laughing at St. Lucians to see the stupidity and the desperation of a government that will go beyond it means to sell our national assets. Assets that is labeled as national security. Look, we hearing that they're going to privatize Wasco now. We hearing they're going to privatize
HIE.
And Angie, and I can tell you something. That is not the Labour Party that I know, Angie. Kenny Anthony, as much as Kenny Anthony is a dog, pardon my French.
Caller, be careful. I'm sorry, I cannot allow you to say these things on the program. Please apologize to the former Prime Minister. We don't want any problems. Guys, listen. Hold on. Let me just put out this disclaimer.
You know why I call him that word?
Yeah,
because I had to take back words. I took it back.
Yeah, because
I had to take it back, Angie, because I was working with Angie, and Barbados have just discovered over 30 billion gallons of oil off the shores of Barbados. That is a survey they have done, and they say possible it has that. And I'm thinking about when Granville came about with Kenny Anthony and those guys, and then they give up to this day. I will see that it's still in the hands of Jack Granville and the courts.
No, actually, that's been resolved.
If we had known that back
actually, caller.
It has been resolved in certain aspects, but it hasn't been fully resolved.
Actually, let's not give the wrong impression here. Okay. That was resolved during Alan Shastney's tenure, because you would recall that Mr. Greinberg passed away, and the government, the UWP government of the day, was able to come to an agreement with his heirs, and that has been, to the best of my knowledge, resolved. It was resolved.
But how did it force the government of St. Lucia, Angie? That is another point.
That we do not know. But
it was something like a whole war, that would have happened. So it was never resolved in the state that the St. Lucian government won. That was the point I was trying to bring across. You understand? And it has left us over 16 years.
Yeah.
Over 16 years. Or now maybe 18 years before it would have been resolved.
Yeah.
And maybe 18 years ago, if that got before, then we wouldn't be in that sad situation we're in. So that's what I'm trying to do. That is what the Labour Party is for you. Sell our national assets, make some really ridiculous deals. I would never think of that is what GPH will come and do there. You know, I was thinking of something grand.
Caller, I cannot tell you how let down I was. You see the same way you describe how let down you are when you saw those bus stops? I cannot explain to you the extent of my disappointment when I saw that. In fact, if I was allowed legally to reprimand the Prime Minister and the Minister of Investment, I think I would have taken the opportunity. But again, you know, you have to stay on the right side of the law. Because, caller, the people said boardwalk. They said boardwalk, you know. I'm thinking something fancy, something modern. You know, you can walk over the sea. You're connecting maybe the arcade side to that side, or it's something that elevates the wharf.
You know, I mean, in Grosley near Sanders Grand, there's this restaurant on the sea.
Right. That's what I was looking at. That's what I was looking for. You know, I was looking for something more. But then again, but caller, hear that, that's the same. We shouldn't really be surprised, you know, caller. Let me tell you why. This is the same administration, the same government, the same MP for Castries South, Castries Central, who told us that they were going to be installing railings at the Jeremy Street Plaza. And if somebody drop you on Jeremy Street and they blindfold you, when they take off the blindfold, you would think that you were in Dubai. You recall that, caller? You remember that? Have you been to Jeremy Street lately?
Angie, it is a mess. Have you passed by these to see all the little tents there and all what is happening there?
Yeah. Oh, let me tell you. But what I wanted to ask you, the most pertinent question, did you feel that you were in Dubai? Did you see the Dubai-inducing railings? Because I haven't. I need a map.
And when I'm walking to Castries, I saw it in maybe one of the back slums in Nigeria or in what's that place in South Africa. You know, that is how bad it is.
It's bad, you know. And have you noticed?
Let me ask you a question.
What were you saying?
Have you ever passed on the show?
Oh Lord, caller. Oh Lord, caller. I don't even want to pass there. I don't want to.
You remember where Scotia Bank used to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see how this building? And the show say you can count 11 abandoned buildings, Angie. 11 of them, just the show say alone. Starting from where the Darling coming down to, all the way down to the end of where Bafra starting. And you can walk in this count the amount of abandoned buildings. This is a dying city.
But
and if a city is dying, that means corner is dying, Angie.
Caller, that's exactly what I was saying yesterday. I was making that point yesterday. Let me give you a joke. So this morning, I was getting ready to leave and I was getting a ride from my brother. And he was looking at the time and saying, hurry up because you know you're going to be late. We're going to be caught in traffic. Hurry up. I said to my brother, do not worry. We will get there in time. He said, no, but you're not the only one on the road. There's going to be traffic. Hurry up. Let's go. All on the way, caller, I can count on one hand the amount of vehicles that pass us. And do you know the Morn Road? We passed down the Morn Road. You know the Morn Road is famous for traffic? Yeah. When we got all the way to that area by Western Union, I turned to my brother and I said, where's the traffic? And he said, well, maybe lower down. And we got to that intersection by Dubule there with the light. And you know, because of the light, there's a little traffic. And he said, oh, look, the traffic. And then we drove through, you know, at 8:30 in the morning. I left my home I live in Castries Southeast, in the backwaters of Castries Southeast. Okay? Mm-hmm.
And in a place in Castries Southeast where you don't have bus, you have to call. If you're on the bus stop at 6:40 in the evening, caller, that's how bad it is. At 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the evening, sometimes you might have to call a bus driver and tell them come and meet you. You're on the bus stop. They have people there. That's how backwater where I live is. Okay, I don't think I need to give you any more explanation. So I left my home at 8:10. You know what time I got to town? 8:38.
Wow. No traffic.
No traffic. Straight flight. Dead. When we got to Castries, there was a little traffic on Bridge Street. And my brother was saying, see, you put me in traffic and traffic and traffic. And it wasn't until we got lower down, closer to the boulevard, that we realized that some of the streets were cordoned off for quote unquote traffic management. But the only management was to make it look like they had traffic, to make it look like there was activity. That's my opinion. Because nothing, nobody. The city is dying. Do you know, caller, that we have one cruise ship scheduled for June, one cruise ship scheduled for July, and none in August?
Wow.
None for August. Do you know, caller? What was that? What were you saying?
Well, I will leave it as there, Angie, and I will say to the people of St. Lucia, brace yourself. It is going to get worse because for the past 6 years now, it's only bad news we have been getting. We haven't. It's only Junior Alfred that's making us happy right now, but there's nothing else. Look now. There's something going around on Facebook where a voice note is going around where a young man is telling a Ave Maria school girl about her sex and vagina and all kind of things. Like they was in a relationship. You understand?
Ave Maria school girl.
Yeah, 12 years old. She been maybe having sex for maybe 10 years from that age, but it's now they caught her and maybe the mother saw the voice notes, licked the voice notes. You know, Angie, but the point is when you come from broken communities, incest in the house and children, those little, those plywood houses, Angie, there's no privacy in those plywood houses, Angie. When your mother and father having sex in the other side of the room,
caller, tone it down. This is broadcast radio. Tone it down. Use other words. Tone it down.
Wow. Sometimes I understand, Angie, but sometimes the frustration, because when you tone it down, the solutions do not understand the plight of the situation.
I know. Sometimes you're tempted to say it in a different way, but you have to always remember that you bring your point across in a way that it's acceptable to broadcast radio. We don't want any problems. You remember?
Yes, I know.
Right. But
that is what it is.
Yeah.
So she's not the only young girl that is going through this, and there's thousands of young, even boys too, are being molested as well, Angie.
Yeah.
So it is a pandemic in our country. Even the Prime Minister said that there's serial rapists in our midst. It was Kenny Anthony at the time that said that. And they're in our parliaments, they're in our police force, they're in our civil society.
Yeah.
So it is not just that it just happened overnight. It is a breakdown and neglect of the society itself. So what I'm telling people now is brace themselves, or they can join me and fight this revolution and fight for the freedom of our country.
Before you leave, caller, I want your take. Before you leave, I want your take on one subject. You're a guy, and I'm assuming that you are a football fan. I'm assuming. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming that you are a football fan. You're not. Okay.
I'm not even for football.
But I do know that you've heard of Arsenal Football Club.
Yes.
What is your take on this partnership or this deal that is?
I was not even like you, Angie. I haven't looked into it, but what I have heard is that we are paying millions of dollars in pounds, and pound sterling is even the euro is $3, €1 is three EC dollars. So you can imagine how much £1 would be EC dollars. You understand? So for me, is it a sound investment that going to bring millions of dollars back in return, because we have to pay at least maybe 4 million. I heard it was about £20 million. That is the thing. That is what skepticals are, because we can allow to speculate about it, because the government haven't come out and say anything. So and then we have to pay at least 4 million annually British pounds sterling. So 4 million pounds British pound. That's maybe about, well, how much money is that, Angie?
4 million? You heard 4 million, caller? Where did you?
No, per annum, per year.
No, but where did you get that information?
I look it up on a British on a British website, so I'm not sure if it's true. So I'm just waiting for confirmation from the government. But it is. I can speculate now because the government hasn't come out and say anything. So I heard for the 2 years, the 2-year contract is 20 million British pounds sterling, and the government now is going to pay it in quarters. So 4 million for the year. You understand? British pound sterling, not US, not euros, pound sterling, which is one of the highest currencies in the world. So if, for example, 1,000 euros is 3,000 EC, then 1,000 pounds sterling is about 5,000 EC. You understand? Or 4,000 EC.
But that
4 million.
Well, I need to go and source that information and try to see if I can read that article that you read. Were they speculating, or was that something that Arsenal has put out?
Well, it wasn't Arsenal, but it wasn't the government. It was a British. I believe it was a British thing. I'll send you the copy on the WhatsApp on that.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please. Yeah. Thank you so much, caller. All right, so at least somebody has gotten wind of something to do with that Arsenal deal. And that's the problem, St. Lucia. That is the problem. We always need to go outside to get information about our country. That is just not right. Now, I haven't been giving the social media platforms and the listeners a voice. I think I should correct that. I'm very sorry, guys. I think I should correct that. Somebody on the WhatsApp platform is saying, "Good afternoon, Angie. I missed your beginning. You said you will be off air today." Technically, what I said was that, well, let me do like my nephew. Actually, what I said was that Insight will not be aired today, and that I wasn't sure if Hard Talk would be, but if there was an interruption, I would send we have a call on the line. Wow. Good afternoon to you, caller. You are on the air.
Hi, Angie.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good, Angie. And you?
I'm good. And by the way, I must say thank you for the support this morning.
Right, no problem. But Angie, I sent you a clip there.
I just saw it.
I think I want to make a contribution on that, in that line.
Okay,
that
so
I want you to, if you have a chance, play the clip back, and I will call you back.
Okay, all right. Well, let me do that. Let me do that right now.
It's a short clip, and I'll call you back.
All right, cool. No problem. All right, so we did receive a clip. Let's see. Ooh. Let's take a listen.
Perception of fairness. And you see, man, you can't have a society where people believe that they will not get justice. Where people believe it's only if you're poor you get arrested. Where people believe that the law is only for few. There must be a perception of right and wrong. And our party will ensure that that field is leveled out. So justice is ready and available for all.
Wow. I wasn't even aware that the Prime Minister made that statement. Let's hear that again. Let me hear that properly. Guys, bear with me. Let's listen carefully. I want to hear every nuance. Let's hear that again.
A perception of fairness. And you see, man, you can't have a society where people believe that they will not get justice. Where people believe it's only if you're poor you get arrested. Where people believe that the law is only for few. There must be a perception of right and wrong. And our party will ensure that that field is leveled out. So justice is ready and available for all.
Wow. Apparently. Now, guys, let me tell you, I know why I was sent this clip. That is what you will call Powell GT. Oh, somebody, wow, let me tell you, guys, don't think we easy here on Hardtalk, you know. Somebody has already sent me a link talking about the Arsenal thing, a clip. Let me see if I can get this. Let me read this for you. It's very sad. Oh, it doesn't say how much. It doesn't say how much, but it says it replaces the £10 million per year visit Rwanda deal, but it does not say specifically how much they are getting. Somebody sent me another one. Let me see if I have more information on this one. Okay, so this one says wow. Okay, so it says here the St. Lucia Tourism Authority agreed to a 5-year partnership with Arsenal Football Club worth approximately £20 million. The financial breakdown: total cost around £20 million overall, annual cost roughly £4 million per year. Duration runs until the end of the 2030-2031 season. So you have it here. St. Lucia has agreed to pay Arsenal Football Club £4 million per year. Good afternoon to you, caller. You are on the air.
Hi, Angie. How are you?
I am not doing well. £4 million, caller. £4 million.
Oh, so now £4 million. That is approximately 15 million EC. The pound is anywhere between about 3.8. So it's approximately 16 million. For freezer 12, 8. Yeah, that's about 15 million EC dollars.
Every year, caller. Per year.
Every year, Angie. Every year.
Caller, do you know what we can get for £4 million, caller? Do you know what we can get for 15 million EC, caller? We have no women's shelter, you know.
Angie,
the wellness center.
Women's shelter.
The wellness center is closed down, you know, caller.
Nonsense about the refurbishing. So here the excuse the government has now come up with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just so sick and tired of these people. When I make some statements, you want to beat me, but you know, Angie, there's a place where people need to stop their nonsense.
Yeah.
With everything that has happened and the Joy situation has come up where this young lady lost her life, right? I think today is her funeral.
Yeah.
Happening right now as we speak. um, they talk about what crisis center.
Oh, right. Yes, sorry. The PPP agreement, as you said, the crisis center, I'm just recalling. I made a mistake earlier, guys. Let me just correct myself as the caller says this. Actually, the PPP agreement is to manage the crisis center, not the what you might call it, the women's shelter. I made a mistake. Let me correct myself. The agreement is to manage the crisis center. But go ahead
But
with
the
your
crisis
contribution, caller.
center is sorry, Angie. The crisis center is a women's center. They're saying that they are renovating the crisis center. They're making it seem like they've been renovating the crisis center forever. So they're suddenly now renovating the crisis center. Now the crisis center was given to was handed to a private individual. Some nonsense that does not add up. Okay, you came in. There was a center, wasn't there was a center in one in I think Lafayette or somewhere. I think there was another center in Cul-de-sac, was there? Are you there,
You're
Angie?
talking about the women's shelter.
Yes.
Go ahead with
When they came in
your contribution, Paul.
2021,
I'm
the
listening.
women's shelter was not closed, you know. I want to ask this government who closed the women's shelter? Who closed the women's shelters that we had in St. Lucia? Under whose watch did they close? I need that question needs to be answered because they're acting like they came, they're saving the day now. They're renovating. It's so confusing. The confusion is so big. The lies are so thick that you can't even cut through them. You will probably need an electric saw to saw through the lies now. Now, anyway, $8 million for $4 million
£4 million. £4
million maybe for Arsenal agreement, right?
Mm-hmm.
We haven't been given one. The government has not told us. So the government is there, just throwing things out there, throwing things out there, throwing things out there. But we live in a democratic country, and to this day, we do not know from the government that the government has not been accountable. I remember accountability and transparency. Philip J. Pierre, Ernest Hilaire, all of them. Accountability and transparency, transparency and accountability, over and over and over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Projection. To this day, these guys have not been accountable for a number of issues. A number of things, a number of agreements that they've signed, a number of things they've tied St. Lucia into. Like St. Lucia is their personal business. That they own St. Lucia. That's their personal business to do what they want with it. Did Philip J. Pierre say about a PPP? Was he talking about Gironora Airport?
No. Philip J. Pierre said that he was going into a PPP for Wasco, but the leader of the opposition is speculating that there a PPP for Gironora Airport might be coming soon based on certain observations that he has made and the government's track record.
So, I want to ask Philip J. Pierre, why are we going into a PPP for Wasco? Why?
But caller, you know that since 2006, I believe, since 2006, there has
We
been
know.
plans to
Yes,
privatize
under Kenny
Wasco
Anthony, yes.
under Kenny Anthony, and they were, according to the Prime Minister, squashed. So, are we surprised? I'm not surprised, Kola. I am not surprised at all. What about you?
Listen, we solutions should never let that happen.
At all.
Never. So, Solution now does not own the Castries Seaport, the Soufrière Seaport, the Soufrière Port, the Castries Port. St. Lucia, let me say it again because this is how it is. This is the truth. St. Lucia does not own its entry doors. We cannot enter. In other words, we own a country, but the door is owned by foreigners. FFFs. FFFs. This is what Philip J. Pierre preached. That the UWP administration, FFS, FFFs. Who is practicing this? UWP did not practice this. Who is practicing it? The same Philip J. Pierre administration that came up and lied and made people believe what was not. You have now sold our ports for 40 years. That's somebody's lifetime. And said you'll be dead by the time it's over. You'll be dead. You don't know, I don't know, I'll be dead by then. That's all Philip J. Pierre could say to us, he'll be dead. Instead of telling us what he has done with our podcastries. And Soufrière, don't forget Soufrière, you know.
Who can forget Soufrière, the bread basket of St. Lucia?
Do not forget Soufrière. St. Lucians, do not forget Philip J. Pierre's administration sold Castries Port and Soufrière Port for 40 years. That St. Lucia is not collecting the money that it was collecting before. The income St. Lucia was generating from these two ports, it is gone to a foreigner. Monsieur, make that make sense. Today, Wasco, our water company in St. Lucia, is going to be privatized, and we sit there and we do nothing about this. We sit there, we accept the water shortages. If Philip J. Pierre really wanted St. Lucians to have pipe-borne water in their homes on a daily basis, let me tell St. Lucians, when he assumed office in 2021, when he won, he so-called won the election in 2021, July of 2021, he would have continued the desilting of the John Compton Dam that was already going on. It was in the process, it was happening, it was being desilted. Monies that came from every St. Lucian household, every St. Lucian business, monies that came from all St. Lucians, because everybody has a pipe at their home. Through what? Through a dredging fee that Kenny Anthony had put on St. Lucians.
Specify it was a 10% dredging fee, Caller.
10% added to your Wasco bill. 10% of your Wasco bill. Every month from the time of Kenny Anthony's reign as Prime Minister was added onto that bill. To this day, the government is still collecting this 10%.
Yep.
The UWP administration started the desilting process. Did Philip Philip JPS see it fitting to continue the desilting process, to continue the laying and the changing of the pipes, especially in the north where Fresh Start was working on the 4-lane or 3-lane, 4-lane road and the 2 big roundabouts and walkover and all of that in the north of the island. Fresh Start was laying, putting down in the ground all those huge pipes to facilitate water coming from John Compton Dam and reaching the homes of everybody in the north and other places too. Did Philip JPA continue this work? No, he came and he stopped it. Let's ask the question again, Angie. Did Philip JPA continue the dredging of the John Compton Dam and the laying down of the pipes, the changing of the pipes, etc., when he came in? No, he did not. He stopped all the work. He is responsible for the water crisis that St. Lucians are having right now. Why should we let Philip JPA get away with privatizing? They privatized 2 of our ports that gave us money. Vendors Arcade, the whole waterfront.
Yeah.
They privatized that, eh? They privatize. They're looking to privatizing Euronora International, but they were talking about it years ago. That is why they stopped the airport, just like they stopped the dredging of the dam and laying of the pipes. They stopped the Euronora International Airport and dug and destroyed millions of dollars worth of piling in the ground that was already set for the airport to be made into a bigger and longer airstrip. Solutions. Does Philip JPA have your best interest at heart if he is going to go? Or are they going to go and destroy piling that was already put into the ground to enhance, enlarge, elongate Euronora International Airport? Millions of dollars worth of piling. Does Philip JPA have your best interest at heart when he takes Port Castries and Port Soufrière, 2 income-generating ports for solution, and he sells it to his friends, FFS, foreigners, friends and family? Is this the person that has your best interest at heart? I am asking you today, Solutions.
And let's hope you get an answer soon. Thank you so much for that
comment. Are we going
caller.
to sit there and let this continue, or are we going to get up and say enough is enough, it is time to stop?
Well, I'm hoping, because you're echoing the sentiments of the leader of the opposition this morning, so let's hope that the same way they heard him, they are hearing you. Thank you so much for that caller.
Thank you, Angie.
Yeah. Guys, let me tell you, almost the sentiments of the leader of the opposition exactly when this lady says, what are we going to do about it? Somebody on the WhatsApp platform is saying the only time St. Lucians will take action is if UWP is in power. She characterizes them as color-blind fools. Over on the Facebook platform, somebody says PJP is boasting that he gave Wasco more money than any government, but they are not improving. Things have gotten worse. Things have gotten worse with them now. People are not getting water more than ever. So, well, I hope he answers the so. Another says, caller, GPH is doing the bare minimum for maximum profit. Another says, bluff, bluff, and more bluff. Somebody says, can a cat be changed to a hen, Angie? Somebody says, when I cook them, you can never tell the difference. Could you please inform me if I show up while you are cooking them? I don't know what just happened, guys, but I think we just went off the air for a second and are coming back now. What is going on? I think we just jumped off the air for a little bit and we're back now. Sorry for the interruption. Let's continue. Somebody says BJP forget. Another one says no, he believes we forgot. Somebody says what? Another person says I believe we need to do a psychiatric evaluation on the Minister of Tourism and even his friend the lawyer to find out what is in these two guys' brain. Wow. Wow. Somebody says, good day, Angie. I'm late today. I was watching the funeral service for Joy. Well, we forgive you. Another one says, wow, oh wow, it looked like St. Lucia finish under the Taliban. Bad days they are getting. I cry. There's a lot of crying going on in St. Lucia right now. Somebody says, PJP is using Wasco's water issues to push his PPP arrangement as a savior, the same way he pushed GPH taking over SLASPA's 20 million loan, but upon making SLASPA take a $120 million loan, which is 500% higher, says that SLASPA never had a problem with paying the $20 million loan. That's the Prime Minister for you guys. That's the Prime Minister. You call when Bingo had this song, there are two people running the country, Kenny and Tony. Well, we have Philip and we have Joseph. Another says, Lucians, please, let's do a country washout of all those who took the Mumu tablets. Wow. I can't read the rest of that. Somebody says the question is whether Ernest Hilaire getting anything personally from that deal. I think that person is referring to the Arsenal deal. Another says over here, the expired bottle of champagne should answer about the airport. Guys, you guys are so, I don't know, y'all are on fire today. Okay, so let's go back to another issue that has been troubling the minds of the people of St. Lucia, and that is our recent loss of our visa-free access to Ireland. Now, Prime Minister Philip G. Pierre and other people who, in my view, don't really understand the issues at hand, they've been trying to downplay the severity of this issue the same way they've attempted to downplay every obstacle to travel placed upon St. Lucians. When they were told about America not processing visas and making it more difficult and more strenuous for Caribbean nationals, including nationals from St. Lucia, to obtain a U.S. visa, people were saying, we don't need to travel to the U.S. When Britain, our mother country, and that one hit hard for me, decided that it would close its doors on us. It was said that nobody's going to England anyway. But now, Ireland has closed the doors. Ireland, if you don't know, is part of the UK, meaning, well, Northern Ireland is part of the UK, the United Kingdom. So that means Ireland is our second cousin, or maybe our auntie, because the UK is our mother country. Oh, we have a caller on the line. Guys, good afternoon to you, caller. You are on the air.
Yes, Angie.
Hi.
So, now that you played that clip twice.
Caller, I suspect is Powell JT you sending for me there, in that clip. How you like that?
No, not really Powell JT, Not really Powell JT. It's toujours highlight. is to highlight even the Prime Minister when he's in his normal faculties.
You cut out.
He recognizes that.
You cut out there for a minute, caller. Could you just repeat what you were saying?
Yeah, I was saying when the Prime Minister is in his normal senses, he recognizes that there is an importance for the judicial system to work, or the system to work, as it is designed to work. But do you see when he is in his politics, he put all of that thing aside.
But then you realize, caller, he said the perception, Perception meaning it has to look like it's working, but it doesn't necessarily have to work. It just has to look like it's working. That's a very important point.
Well, do you see? Oh yeah, well, the ordinary man, when he's faced with the system, he wants to believe that things are working as they're supposed to work.
Right.
When you go to court, you want to believe that the person who brought you to court, or the person you brought to court, you come face to face with them, because that's what the court
I'm
is.
sorry, I need to stop you. There is something going on in the background. Could you just turn down the volume?
Away from it. I've moved.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've moved, yes. So when you have a situation, Angie, and let me just I might be talking about your situation, so I don't necessarily want you to opine on it.
Okay, no problem.
But when I go to the court, Angie, and I recognize that parents are coming to the court, or a spouse would be coming a man would be coming to the court to give emotional support to his wife, or brother and sister, and so on. And the court has to take recognizance of that. The court, a public court, because brothers come with the sisters, husbands come to support the wives. But the court cannot accommodate they being in the court. So one person has to be outside, and the other one is dealing with the matter by themselves.
Right.
And that is not how the court is designed to operate, Angie.
Yeah. You're right. Are you still there?
I heard Majesty. Yeah, I'm there.
Okay.
I'm there. I heard Majesty ask, who came to court with you as the defendant or the company? Who came with you? Oh, my parents are there. Where are they? They're outside. Call them inside. Mom, have a seat. It is important for the person to have some support in a court setting.
Right.
Especially when that person has no lawyer, cannot afford a lawyer. But when you have a system, you go to court with a man, who's the defendant, in free appearances. The man have not made an appearance in free hands. And you as a woman, you're there, and you're at the mercy of the court. The lawyer is talking foolishness on the other side, and they're just giving you a date to come back. That is what the Prime Minister has to put in his pipe and to address properly. The people will lose confidence in the court today being that day, Angie. When you have a young lady is being buried today. I listened to 2 tributes, Angie. And it was so touching. I have daughters, Angie. I have 2 daughters. And I tell you, I don't know how I will behave if that is to happen to one of my children, you know. Whether it's my son or my daughters, I don't know if I will just get crackpot. The system must work the way it's supposed to work. That people do not resort to taking things into their own hands. But when you have a prime minister who have gone to the court against the state, state had matter against his colleague.
Mm-hmm.
The man goes to court, and he said he came to see that the matter justice prevails.
Now, caller, are you aware? Are you aware that the Prime Minister has emphatically denied this? He denied. He appeared on a show, and he emphatically denied ever going to the court, ever saying any of that.
I tell you, that's why I told you, Angie, when the Prime Minister, I don't know, when he drink enough Centrum and his brains are functioning, he wouldn't make no statement, but most times the Prime Minister, I think he just forget his, I don't know if it's his
Centrum Silver.
Yeah.
Caller, you too bad. Caller, you are too bad today. You have a call coming in, caller?
But Angie, serious, Angie.
You
serious. I mean, I was in morning, and I'm happy I met your mother.
Yeah, a little fire. A little firecracker, that one.
Your mother.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, prior to meeting your mother, there was another elderly lady who walked past me. I know her very well. And the lady asked me, where is the court? Where's the courthouse? And I pointed at the lady officer at the door. And the lady was there to accompany her son to court. And the son was still going, and the lady went out, stayed out. Now, look at where we were. We are between two buildings. There is no shelter. You have to go under a little canopy that's there.
Mm-hmm.
Every time it drizzles.
Mm-hmm.
The court, and we're just spending millions of dollars on a financial, on
a deal with Arsenal
complex.
We're spending £4 million on a deal with Arsenal, but we can't provide accommodation in a court. Now, here's another thing that you missed. You were outside, so you weren't aware. I was actually asked to exit the courtroom because I was told that there was no space, and when people come in, there's no place to sit down, so I couldn't stay there. But I had to inform the officer that my lawyer had applied for special circumstances so that my matter could be heard quickly, or as the first matter, because we were number 17. We were number 17 on the docket, but he appealed to the court that we be bumped up to number 1. Yeah. Imagine that.
But that's what I'm telling you, Angie. The court cannot even accommodate the parties in the matter.
Yeah.
Find somebody who come there to render support for you, to you, or to the spouse, or to a brother or sister.
Yeah.
And we're just spending millions on justice.
Not just
and
the millions on justice don't bother me, caller. What upsets me, £4 million a year on Arsenal, when we have so many problems that the £4 million, just 1 year, can fix for us. 15 million EC dollars. 15 million. And we have so many issues that 15 million is the same amount that would have given us the Rodney Bay Road. You realize that?
Yes.
That $15 million could have gone a long way into upgrading every single school, secondary and primary and even tertiary on the island.
Yeah.
That $15 million could have gone a long way to finishing St. Jude's. That $15 million could reopen the wellness center and the women's shelter and finish renovating the crisis center. We have work for the $15 million a year. Arsenal doesn't need that money. We do. Caller, you seem to be in high demand and short supply this afternoon.
Yeah. Going out there. But Angie, let me tell you, I suspect somebody's trying to reach me. But in closing, let me tell you, the Wasco situation, I heard you speak about it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
There is something happening with Wasco. And I will not let it out of the bag of the sack yet. Not the bag, the sack.
Wow.
I will not let the sack yet.
Mm-hmm.
But there is something generating from the Wasco situation. The Prime Minister has hinted to it, but they're not brave enough to say it yet openly. But there is a serious situation happening with Wasco, or that will be happening with Wasco shortly. So we have to brace ourselves. Water increase is not coming just so.
Right.
All right? Certain people, they will turn Wasco just like GPH.
Oh,
you see Wasco and the GPH
we're already aware of that, caller. The Prime Minister said it. I played it in a clip. I played it in a clip earlier. The Prime Minister said it. That there was a proposal since 2006 to deal with Wasco's somebody on the live is just I'll read the statement, I'll read the comment just now because that wasn't too serious. But anyway, the Prime Minister hinted that the deal they had in 2006 was squashed and they are revisiting it.
Squashed, yes. Yeah. And there is a lot, let me tell you, that one is a bombshell itself.
Wow.
Not just the arrangement, but the parties who are involved. The parties who are involved.
My goodness.
That is the bombshell. But wait and you will hear. Thank you very much, Angie. I'm listening still. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Boy, let me tell you, we have so much going on in St. Lucia right now, guys. So much going on. And I've been attempting to play this clip for a very long time. But let me just go. Oh my goodness, another caller. Good afternoon to you, caller. You are on the air.
Good afternoon to you, Angie. Once again, I not often do I call talk shows or your program twice, but I'm flabbergasted.
And what has you in such a state of discombobulation?
I am desolate, to use the local part. Angie, £4 million for Arsenal FC football club.
£4 million per year, caller, per year. You forgetting the year.
£4 million per year, which sums up to $15 million EC
per year.
And people per year. And
now
people in the country starting to be hungry. And then going back to what I said earlier, we cannot get a reliable supply of water. Wasco is saying they want a bailout. The Prime Minister admitted that every month he has to give Wasco $1 million.
But okay, now you've said that. You've given me another idea what we can do with the $15 million. You know, we can give it to Wasco. We can use it to fix the pipes at Wasco. In fact, according to the former Prime Minister, all that was needed to fix the pipes was $3 point something million.
Exactly.
So Philip J. Pierre,
And it,
Wasco need a little bit of that money, a little bit just to fix their pipes, just to
let me tell you,
replace their pipes.
if there's one, if there's one example that solutions right now should take to the streets, this is the one. And I said earlier on the show that I am not against promoting sports and giving young people an opportunity to develop a sporting talent. This is not what I'm saying, but I'm saying in the context of what's happening globally and economically in St. Lucia, giving Arsenal $50 million a year is not the right decision right now. We cannot afford it. Already we have a burdening um, public purse. We cannot even afford to pay public servants. Okay? It's burdening the taxpayer to pay all those civil servants because the public service right now is top heavy. It's too much. So we cannot afford to pay our public service, our government workers. But to giving Arsenal $15 million a year when people in the rural communities are suffering, when roads are in a deplorable condition, when people sometimes they don't even know how they're going to send their children to school.
They're not
I'm
suffering, caller.
understanding somebody saying, huh?
They're not suffering, caller. They're not
Well,
suffering.
I kind of.
No, I'll tell you why. They are not suffering. They are not suffering. Because if they were suffering, and you can take that to the bank, if they were suffering, you would hear them. If
That is true.
Let me tell you something about St. Lucians. I love my country. I love my countrymen. And let me tell you something. The fact that we were paying $13.95 for a gallon of fuel, and there were riots in the street, there was protesting, there was strike action by NCOPT members. There was a whole petroleum dealers organization talking day and night. I think they used to go and sleep and their mouths used to praise the Lord. And now we're paying
Right.
16. Listen, gas went up to 17.95. Not a word, not a word. Today, $73 a gallon of let me say that again. $73 a barrel of oil on the global market. $73. And we are paying 16.75 per gallon. Not a word. They're not suffering. They are not. You know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right, caller. It just came. Maybe you're right. Maybe they're so hungry, tired, frustrated. They have no strength, so they cannot speak. But they quick to jump on a live and talk all kind of foolishness. Eh?
Let me tell you something.
All of them are WhatsApp bad man.
That is what your point there is so true, and it just strengthens my last point when I called it earlier. And that point was, you get the government you deserve. So solutions are not taking it in the neck. To borrow a phrase from Rick Wayne, we are taking it in the neck.
I don't think his neck Rick Wayne wanted to say. I think Rick Wayne was just being nice.
Yeah, he was just being nice and generous. But we are taking it in the neck. And I want to use proper radio language. So I will just say that we're taking it in the neck. But you're telling me people in the rural communities have no pipe-borne water for days, for months. Wasco is in a total mess. Cannot give people a reliable supply of water. Okay? Rather than take that money and invest it into Wasco, make it a viable company. You telling me you're giving it to Arsenal FC, a football club, to on the pretense that they'll be marketing St. Lucia, and you're telling me that schools right now, certain schools need urgent repairing. You're telling me that the hospitals that when you go to, like OKEU and St. Jude, it's a nightmare for horror, like a Freddy Krueger movie. They cannot get medication, you cannot get bed, you cannot get this, the service is shabby. Use that money to develop and to improve your medical facilities. but you're giving it to Arsenal FC, a football club. And I'm not against providing opportunities, sporting opportunities for young people. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying right now, is it worth it? Where is the priority by the government? Where is the priority? If we can afford it, if we were blessed, like countries of the likes of Guyana and Trinidad, who are blessed with natural resources such as oil, and we have that money, I'm all well and good. I'm all in. But St. Lucia right now is standing on one leg. It's like we're hopping on one leg. Tourism numbers are dismal. And dismal. And you're telling me the little money that we have to develop the country, to ensure that roads are built, to ensure that the costs, the accommodation at the courts is better, so that people don't have to stand outside and all this kind of Flintstone era that we grew accustomed to in St. Lucia. That we should have had a modernized court where if you want to show support like the last caller said, you can be in the court, you can witness a court hearing, a decent court hearing. Rather than take that money to improve, you're giving it to Arsenal. I'm getting some information, Angie, and I will do some more investigation about that school feeding program. So somebody said, give me some information, a teacher, that the school feeding program, if you know, if you heard the horror stories, the sad stories in that school feeding program, and I was told that the schools sometimes have to give the children ration meals and give the kids the same meal at least twice a week because the Ministry of Education is telling them they do not have the money to provide the support, the financial support for the school feeding program. Yet still you're giving $15 million a year. I'm upset, I'm flabbergasted, and I have all the reason to be flabbergasted. I'm angry right now.
According to a Morgie song, Saka fait moi fâché. Oh my God. But we're going through it in St. Lucia, you know, Kola. We are going through it.
Yeah, let me tell you, it's going to get worse, you know. You think it's going to get any better, Angie? Let me tell you, I said something a couple of weeks ago, and I don't think you understood, and your listeners understood what I was saying. This 61 majority that this government has, it has gotten to the head, you know. You know, and I sent you a clip of the Bajan guy, the official, who had to apologize publicly. If you can have some time, Angie, I want you to play that. It's very instructive that you play this clip. Because it tells you that the Bajan community, the Bajan people, have a zero tolerance for disrespect, you know. When it comes to accountability and transparency, they don't play, you know. In St. Lucia, you have a government giving Arsenal $15 million a year. We do not even, it has to take a foreign interest or individual or group to give us that information when we have a government in St. Lucia refusing to give us that information. And we just sit there and we allow that. That's arrogance. Not because you finished JP and the St. Lucia Labour Party that you got a 61 majority, a mandate. That gives you the green light to be arrogant. We deserve answers, and that's why I'm all in for Freedom of Information Act. It's high time that we pass a Freedom of Information Act where we can force our public officials to give us the information. Trinidad has the Freedom of Information Act. That if any government official refuses to give the Trinidadian people information, the press, the journalists, whatever, they have a right to file to lodge a complaint. And the government, the public officials are forced to give the information. We need a Freedom of Information Act in St. Lucia. ASAP.
Caller, while I agree wholeheartedly with you, and I second you, but this is St. Lucia. And I
so we are happy.
Well, we're supposed to be happy. You ever notice nobody caller, do not carry your key on my platform, please. Now hold on. You realize before when we used to complain about stuff, people would say St. Lucia nice. You notice nobody says that anymore? Put that in your pipe, PJP, and smoke it. Thank you so much for your contribution, caller.
Let me say this, Angie. Let me say this. St. Lucia, we are nice twice. All but St. Lucia, St. Lucians, the majority of us, are preoccupied with. We enjoy is rum and chicken. First, good time, not realizing our government that we elected, the Solution Labour Party, is failing us and falling short. Today we saw the funeral of Joyce Sentover. How many solutions took the opportunity or took the time to reflect, have a moment of reflection and say, look here, we should never have another Joyce Sentover in solution. How many solutions did that? I guarantee you not many. This
Well,
is solution where we are at.
well,
Have a blessed day, Angie.
thank you for that, caller. I'm not sure if I can go as far as saying this is a Nusha where we are happy, but it should be a place of happiness for us. But I need to play these clips, guy. I keep getting interrupted. You want to make me stay here until 5 o'clock. Somebody sent me a comment. I have to share this with the public because Sabatmwe. So listen, guys. Somebody says, Angie, the Masha River has 3 mattresses dogs used to sleep on. Now the grass is so big and tall, they can't go on their beds anymore. PJP needs to check on the 3 dogs. Upawe kola san toplifon. This individual, so when this person is asked to explain, here's the explanation. Remember the 3 dogs that were at the meeting PJP spoke about? Sorry, remember the 3 dogs was at a meeting. PJP spoke about them, so he must not forget them. Another says, I can't wait to see how low the labor hacks will go down into the Deglo landfill to defend this Arsenal deal. Somebody says, Angie, you are right. They are not suffering. They are comfortable. Their government is working and they have the best PM. Somebody says, please, Ian, please behave, okay? Let my government do their work. My government is working. Vex for what? St. Lucians are happy. Another says, no more Sweet Helen. Boy, let me tell you, the chat room is hot today. But let's go back to this clip because I really need to play it. Here is the Prime Minister talking about Ireland and why he believes we lost our visa-free privileges. Oh my God. Good afternoon. Caller, let me tell you something. You're going to have to come and pick me up and drop me home this afternoon, because I suspect you want me to sleep here. But go ahead. You're on the air. Always coming in last. Because you don't want me to play the clip about Philip J. Pierre? Because guys, have you noticed, callers, have you all noticed that every time I try to play this clip by Philip J. Pierre, somebody calls the show? But go ahead, caller, go ahead.
I want to make let me tell you, this Arsenal thing, I will never say try for young people is not a good incentive. Okay, it is. However, remember I was telling you about the sporting, the school that we have in
the academy. Oh, but one of their things is that they're going to have an academy. So I don't know what they're going to do with the one we already have.
Has Philip JPS since 2021, when he assumed office, put in $1 into our sports academy if you really had the young people's best interest at heart, one of the first things you would have done was you would have injected some monies into the sports academy. But I think when they came in, they threatened to close it. Do I recall this properly or not? I don't know. I think they threatened to close it. Now, if you had the best interest of the young people at heart and those sporty young people, wouldn't you have invested some monies in that sporting facility? Because it was training not only young St. Lucian people, but other young people regional from other countries as well. Wouldn't you have done that? The FFF thing that's going on there, I want to know who has interest in Arsenal. If you notice, Angie, everything we're seeing happening, GPH, St. Lucia Ports. GPH became St. Lucia Ports. Now, Arsenal, that thing with Arsenal, what is the company called? What is the company called?
I don't think it's a
has
company,
interest?
I don't think it's a company. What I think is happening is that Arsenal Football Club, their players would have to talk about St. Lucia or come to St. I'm not sure how it's going to work, but they're going to have to provide social
The
media
kids are going to
content.
have to get training.
Yeah, but
The kids are going to have to get training.
they're opening
Arsenal.
an academy, a football academy.
Yeah, okay, they opening a football academy. All right, no problem. No problem. Which footballers are going to go there? Why didn't you say, okay, we have a sports academy here. We would like you to brand the branding of Arsenal to work along with our sports academy in St. Lucia and keep the cost low, and everybody benefits, footballers as well as tennis players as well as people who sprint and everything else. Why? That's why I'm asking you. Okay, an academy. Who has interest in this academy? Who is going to run this academy? Who is going to be the CEO? Who's going to be? I'm asking these questions.
Yes, but caller,
because look
caller,
at FFFs that are with the St. Lucia Pots now.
Caller, no, you see, you're asking the questions, and I appreciate you asking the questions. But don't you think that the Prime Minister is better placed, the Minister of Investment is better placed, even the Minister of Sports, better placed to answer that question than little old me? I mean, I'm not a minister.
I'm asking through you because they're listening to the program, Angie.
I know they're listening.
They're listening. There are things that we talk about, and next time you hear Philip JP making comment about it.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So they are listening to the program.
They are.
They are. And they need to start answering our questions. They have to explain why we have a sports academy in St. Lucia that is not being taken care of by the government. Watch him push funding it, as I say that. Watch, just watch. Just watch, because they're so reactive. Every time they have a bubble, they try to put a plaster on the bubble not even healing because they go and they pinch in the bubble again.
Oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord.
So I want to know why they haven't given that any kind of priority, but they're quick to give priority to a football, an Arsenal Football Club, and I want to know who has interest. And when I say interest, as in who's the owner, who is this going to be owned by? Is it, if it's the state, because they're privatizing everything, so there must be a CEO, there must be there must be a director, there must be something, a board. Somebody has to make this up. Who are the people? We realize that there's a handful of people in St. Lucia. Their names appear on everything having to do with boards and councils and this and that. See, the names appear. We realize that St. Lucia Ports has taken away SLASPA staff. People not saying it, but I will say it. SLASPA staff is now employed by St. Lucia Ports. They are the ones who have formed St. Lucia Ports. Esmamati.
I can't say that you have, caller. I cannot say that you have.
Right. So is it again one of these things where we have the same set of people, forming the same yet another council, another board, another this, another that. Is that what's going on here? how does it work in terms of money? We need to know that. We want, I'm telling you, I'm demanding transparency and accountability. I am demanding transparency and accountability from the Philip JP administration. It is about time. It is about time. It is about time we tell these people that we're no longer going to sit there and tolerate their nonsense. And also, Angie, I saw them flatten a snake in Marshall. What are you going to tell me? That was AI too? I saw a snake being flattened.
Caller, caller, caller.
Hang up on these snake things.
I am. Listen, I'm throwing my buddy under the bus right now, but caller, a certain co-host of mine on a different show, and I know he's listening, was giving me that story, and the person tell me, just by me there, you know that happened. I was standing right there. So boy, I am so happy. I am so happy that my good friend was saved from the snake bite, because we don't have, it seems the government is, what did the ministers of agriculture say? They're giving vaccines, snake bite vaccines. What?
Yeah, snake bite vaccine, not the antivenom.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Not the antivenom that.
Yeah,
how come is the fertilizers showing up? How come is the fertilizers that showing up everywhere? Why is the fertilizers? Why is it the orchestrated that is not deadly?
Well,
why is it the fertilizers and the fertilizers showing up in all the constituencies? I question whether they won those constituencies or not in the last election. Bon. Why are these
according to my grandmother, mi question majestoire.
Why is the fertilizers showing up in those places that numbers did not look right? People's names were not on the voting roll. People were sent all over the place trying to get themselves to vote and they couldn't. Why is it that these are the constituencies we have questions about, that we are seeing all these things appearing? Let me tell you, if I send you a picture of, you keep saying I'm going to photograph that, I'm going to start stopping and taking photos of the Union, the Shop Bridge. You were up north for a couple of days ago. Did you just look? Did you look?
I did, and I was quite shocked at what I saw. Although you had already prepared me, but hearing about it and seeing it is two different, caller. Like a previous caller said to me, when you're passing on the cul-de-sac bridge, just look in the direction of Fewa. And when I looked, I was appalled at what I saw. That's another thing that the $15 million can do for us. That's another thing. Philip J. Pierre, we have work for that $15 million a year.
Why we have experts on the ground in St. Lucia? Why are we getting the animals that eat snakes to drop them in the places where there's snake sightings, for them to start eating those snakes that may be multiplying all over the place, and we have no idea what's going on with them? Where's our forestry division people? You're sleeping on your government not paying all man. Why does Philip J. Penham have money to do everything but what they are supposed to be doing? Why? Now,
because that's what we paid for, Paula. That is what we paid. That is what we voted for.
Cannibal come in. No, I vote. I didn't vote for them. You mad? I'd never give them my vote. Are you crazy? You know what's happening in St. Lucia? I expected it. I about it. I warned people. I warned young people, and I said, do not vote for this administration because you will feel the pinch. Everything is going to get more expensive. your whole life is going to turn upside down. This place is going to look like a dump. We almost like Haiti. Almost. We almost like Haiti. Snakes are appearing everywhere in residential areas. Wasco water, we have no water so much. Wasco is being privatized, but they have trucks trucking millions of gallons of water all over the place to hotels and houses and private residences, etc. But we don't have water in the pipe. Angie,
Yes, caller.
we have money to put in Arsenal, but we did not have money. We didn't have money to get the ebooks downloaded on these same computers that they gave the children
Ah,
that they got for free,
here's another.
donated by
There
Ben's mom or
is
somebody.
another one. There is another one. We have money. We have 15. Hold on, $15 million per annum to give to Arsenal, but we could not continue the ebook program because $11,000 a year was too much.
To save parents spending in excess of $1,000 worth of books every year for a high school child. Do you understand what is going on in St. Lucia? We have money to inject, to paint a Bam Bam wall for how many thousands of dollars or whatever they say they're paying for it. We have money to inject in Carnival. We don't even know how much money has been injected in Carnival in the last 5 years. We do not know. We have not been given a figure. But we have money to do all of this. But we don't have money to put medicine in the hospital. We don't have money to put beds in a hospital like OKEU. We don't have money to pay proper staff to come and take care of the sick people and whatnot. We don't have money to do water, healthcare. As I'm driving, I'm going past potable water. One huge, maybe about 100,000 gallons. One huge truck with one huge tank behind it, speak of water.
And if you ask the question, the Prime Minister will tell you that's not your business.
That's my business. I pay tax. That's my business. And by the way, I'm still waiting for him to respond to my question as to why he has lowered the price of the fuel, the gas in St. Lucia, because gas has gone down. You put it up for 5 years when you were not supposed to. You collect millions.
It's down to 73. It's down to $73 a barrel today. Maybe lower. I haven't checked because these things update.
It's going to go down again, but we in St. Lucia, so dumb, we're paying 60. None of us should go to the petrol station. All of us should stay at our home. Don't go and buy fuel.
Caller, you remind me of my brother, you know.
We should not go and buy fuel.
Caller, you remind me of my brother. My brother said to me, he will go and source one of those donkeys that Kenny brought over from Montserrat. You remember them? He says he's going to go in search of one of them because that will be his transportation from now on. He's parking his vehicle.
Well, I know if I say jackass, just later call don't tell, but that's what a donkey is, eh? So guess what Kenny brought home for St. Lucians?
Caller, be nice. Be nice.
Be nice. I am tired. We have money to do everything. Our health system has not improved. Our justice system has not improved. Our roads are in the worst conditions ever. We have no water. Our water is worse than the 1950s. Electricity has gone sky high. The price of gas has gone down on the world market. Lucy Lake, I calling you Lucy Lake. You have to readjust the price back because you adjusted it, of course. $73. Tomorrow it's probably going to be $70. The next day is probably going to be $68. We sit down in St. Lucia here and we ain't doing nothing about it. Boy, I tell you, maybe I should be living in Taliban world for true.
St. Lucia nice, caller. St. Lucia nice.
St. Lucia nice. St. Lucia have snake biting people. St. Lucia have fed every day. St. Lucia have bush. That's why they let the bush grow everywhere so the snakes can breed. And we can't see them. Maybe they're trying to get rid of the St. Lucia population people. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because bush everywhere. There's no debushing. There's no cleaning up the river. We're in June. And gee, something might happen. They have money to do everything. I want to know who's getting a cut of that $50 million on an annual basis. I want to know.
Caller, we all want to know. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you so much for that.
Good afternoon, Angie.
You as well. So, guys, I've been trying to play this clip from Philip J. Pierce since afternoon, and every single time. I think that is coordinated, by the way. I think you guys have a WhatsApp group that I don't know about. And every time I try to play a clip of Philip J. Pierre, one of you calls. I think that's deliberate. But I will not be denied, because we need to hear what the Prime Minister has to say about our lost visa privileges. So here is Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre.
So we're trying to diversify our economies, right? Thirdly, we continue to reimagine and put a new image on the CIP program. But I'll tell you, I can give no guarantee that anything we do would satisfy the people who believe that we should stop our program. I don't think we can do. I really think there's nothing we can do. You must understand, we've taken a regional approach. We've had regional pricing. We've done the strictest due diligence. We continue to do the strictest due diligence possible. Right now, we are into biometrics for our passports. They've spoken about people having links to the country. We are implementing steps to get our citizens to have links to our country. Everything that we requested to do, we are doing and we will do. St. Lucia wants to have a transparent and an accountable CIP program. But you must understand our history. And this is very important. You must understand our history. We did all we could do for our banana industry. Everything we asked to do, we did. We did everything we do for our financial services industry. Everything we asked to do, we did. Now is the CIP program. But I can assure you, St. Lucia does not want to transgress any laws. We don't want to be a burden to any country. We don't want our citizens to create any issues in any country. That is why our due diligence is so robust, our due diligence is so intense. And we have invited the countries who have issues to come and see what we do. We've opened up our doors. We've opened up our program. Come and see what we do and advise us on what you think is best practice. But I can give you no guarantee. And when we do that, we will not get the same results. But we're willing to work. I want to make it clear that the government of St. Lucia is willing to work with any country who wants us to improve on our program, who wants us to make our program even more transparent than it is now. But does that guarantee that the end result in their eyes will not be the same. I can't guarantee that.
Sorry, just two more questions. With the water concerns that you're seeing at Wasco, and again certain port congestions, and you might have hinted at that in your budget presentation, that solution might get at we might get a point where we need to decentralize the government's overall control of these statutory bodies. So they would become like public corporations, so they would be able to fund their operations without really relying heavily on government. As a general agenda for your term in office, how do you see that the government improving the the operationability of institutions like WASCO, for instance, like Lucy, like the Port Authority, so that they could, walk on their own 2 feet, and in the same breath saving the government on expenditure?
First of all, the situation with Wasco is twofold. One, right now we are in a drought situation, and it is predicted that the drought will get worse in the coming year. Right? You've heard that. Not my fault, right?
Sorry, guys. I realized that what I really wanted, this is just one part of what I wanted you to listen to, because there is something else that the Prime Minister says. Another question. I think that's where the question is.
So just the last question for me, and I'll set you free. So in your statement about CARICOM, you would have highlighted food security, and given the present job situation, and of course concerns about the quality of foodstuffs that we import. Food security is a topical question. Would you be able to give us any sort of specifics about what you're trying to get out of CARICOM as far as food security is concerned?
Okay. CARICOM, there was
Okay, we need to go further down. Let me see. Because I really need the Prime Minister to... guys, I'm gonna have to give up on that. You heard him. Let's just go to the leader of the opposition, because at this moment I cannot find that clip, and maybe it's because the listeners here on Hardtalk, they just don't want to hear the Prime Minister speak. I've done everything to convince the listeners that we need to hear from the Prime Minister, but they've gone so far as to coordinate calls to prevent me from playing his speech. I'm kidding. My listeners are wonderful. I don't know if they did that subconsciously. But here is the leader of the opposition giving a much more, a different perspective on the loss of the Irish visa. Take a listen.
The next thing is the CIP. It is worrying that the public, that persons in the public, but even more so that a prime minister would attempt to soften the blow of losing our Irish visa. And by saying what? You, the media here today, public, would have heard it for themselves. So Felicians don't travel to Ireland. That was the first response. The Prime Minister then made it even worse, in my humble opinion, by trying to say to Solutions that this had nothing to do with Solution. That Ireland was having domestic problems with regards to immigration. And as a consequence of those difficulties in Ireland, we lost our visa. Now, let's see if that makes sense. So you're telling me Ireland, like many of the Western world and European countries who are having concerns about immigration, were so concerned that they felt the solution to the problem of all the countries in the world, St. Kitts, St. Lucia, and Nicaragua. But the Prime Minister and the public that I heard give the excuse about solutions don't travel to Ireland have already contradicted that statement. So if solutions do not travel to Ireland, then why would Irish people be fearful of immigration? Why? Whereas the truth of the matter is, we lost our Irish visa because of the England's decision to revoke our visa because of CIP. And Ireland had to do so because of the special relationship that Ireland has with England, where Northern Ireland is English and Southern Ireland is Irish. And when they got their independence in the early 19th century, the agreement was that the border will never be closed. So it means that a person who didn't have a British visa could travel to Ireland, because they don't need a visa, Schengen, and then simply walk over to Northern Ireland and then go to England. And it becomes then a matter of risk. Why was St. Lucia and St. Kitts targeted? Because of CIP. It wasn't just fair that Solutions were going to get on a plane to go there, to go into England. It was the fair that people who had CIP passports and now all of a sudden realizing they couldn't go to England, could go to England illegally. And what was the motivation to go to England illegally? Was to claim asylum. That's why. There is an army of illegal immigrants in the northern part of France who are trying to make their way to England because of England's policy and how they deal with illegal immigrants. They get housing, they get food, they get put in hotels. None of the other European countries are doing the same thing. That's the motivation. And you want to tell us there's nothing that he could do? Yes, he can solve the problems in CIP, which are obvious to everyone. You're members of the media. You're more informed than the general public. How many citizens have been approved in the last 2 years? And the reports are out. Do you know? Nobody in Solution knows. Because in the reports, it's hidden in what's called an application. And all we can do is extract information. So we can see how much money they earned on due diligence fees, and it's $8,000 per person, primary applicant, and $5,000 per person for dependent. So when we take the number of applications divided into the amount of money they earned in due diligence fees, it comes out to 20,000 passports in the last 2 years. Does that number matter? I want to put it again in perspective in my administration because it so sickens me at this stage that people attempt to make the comparison erroneously. So one, in 5 years we approved 850 passports. We're talking about in 2 years alone, 20,000. I want you to go and get the information for yourself. Go and see the audited reports that were put in the House. It's in the library. And guess what the reports include? Not only the number of individual citizens, it includes their names. So persons who are choosing to defend something that's indefensible, and the common theme here is accountability. If we are not going to hold the government, public servants, and institutions in this country accountable, if we're going to allow them to continue to be faceless, then they will continue doing what they want. They'll continue acting with arrogance and impunity and with indifference to the clients and the claims of the public solution. An example of that is the Prime Minister in his budget address indicated that they had transferred $150 million of earnings from the CIP into water, 12 million, health, 25 million, social services, 55 million, and infrastructure, 54 million. They didn't tell us, was it CIP that transferred the money? Or did the money go into the economic fund and the economic fund received applications and transferred the money? And who did the money go to? And why is that even more important now? It's because this was done in an election year.
So there you have it, guys. 2 different prime ministers and 2 different opinions on the state of the CIP in St. Lucia. Thank you guys so much for joining me here on Hard Talk. I hope this has been educational because, of course, we attempt to educate the public when we bring you this information. Guys, stay vigilant. Keep your eyes open. This is our country, and let us not allow our country to fall by the wayside. Thank you so much for joining me here on this extended episode of Hard Talk. Tomorrow is Friday, guys. We're going to be back here with more of the issues that matter. Stay tuned. Don't forget, St. Lucia is our home. And if we don't protect it, who will? Because nobody is coming to save us. Bye-bye.